Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your short horoscope for Scorpio season. Happy November, guys. It's definitely a very intense month to say the least. Scorpio season is always intense. It just is. It's about the changing. It's about the transformation. It's about the new growth, which often entails the shedding and the letting go. I like to always remind people that when we look at the whole of a season, it's very much deeply connected to the seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. So to get a good idea of what Scorpio is about, you want to take a look at what's happening in nature right now. What is going on is there's a certain amount of death taking over our environment. Things are not thriving. There's a lot of beauty in death, which is why if you are lucky enough to be in the Northern Hemisphere, in more of the North American regions where the leaves begin to turn these beautiful colors and everything looks vibrant and beautiful and alive, and then things start to shed, the leaves fall off and we see the bare bones of what's going on. And that's what Scorpio season is. It's the shedding so that we could see the bare bones of things. Scorpio also represents the underworld, the swamp, and oftentimes during Scorpio season, we tend to find out information that was otherwise hidden from us. Now, that could be due to a million different things, from external circumstances, other people lying to you, other people manipulating the situations, or it could just be how you manipulate or, disempower yourself in some way. Scorpio represents kind of the investigator, and it also represents, in financial terms, a reconciliation. So it's a great time for assessment. Oftentimes you look at nature, again, going back to this nature, and we tend to see the animals that are getting ready for the winter months, getting ready for their hibernation, making sure they have enough food, making sure that, and this is kind of where we're at mentally as well. We're in the preparation for winter. A lot of us are assessing our finances in certain ways as well. And you'll see this play out absolutely this month as far as the economy goes. There's going to be a lot more questions coming up, and we're going to want to get to the bottom of stuff. Why does this work that way? Why is this happening? What does this mean? You'll probably, I often see, because Scorpio does rule an investigative and journalism kind of thing, you're going to see a lot of news stories come out that could be somewhat shocking, and it could really change the way that you look at things. And I've been telling everybody, I don't care what side you're on of the political game, or if you're just completely sick of it, there's no way we're not affected. And it's probably a good idea to pay attention to what's happening with a healthy amount of detachment. And the Jupiter in Aquarius is going to help us with that. We can't be so attached to outcomes. We know that with Jupiter moving through Aquarius, and we're definitely going to know that when Jupiter starts to move through Pisces, that this is not a time for attachments. It is a time of release and letting go and understanding where we are in the bigger picture of things. The saving grace is we're moving into Sagittarius season, and that's going to be a beautiful, hopeful, regenerative time if we put in the hard work now. So end of October, most of November is going to be really getting to the bottom of our shadow work. This is going to fall in a different part of all of our charts. So for some of us, we're getting to the bottom of where we are financially. What's holding us back? What's stopping us from making these transformations? There's going to be an emphasis on our need for freedom. Obviously, as you could say, things are playing out in the collective as a need for freedom. A lot of people are afraid that their rights are being stripped from them, and that Venus and Sag, and then as Mercury starts to move through Sag and the sun moves through Sag, there's going to be a bigger emphasis on our freedom. And we have to figure out what's holding us back before we figure out how to become free of it, right? We've got to get to the bottom of these stories that we tell ourselves. And the great thing about Scorpio is that it's so deeply psychological. This isn't about like the little stuff. It's about really getting to the bottom of things psychologically. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Now, I always say that there's always two very drastically different ways that this energy can express itself. And the lower realm of Scorpio is to be super protective, very vindictive, very secretive and private, and doesn't really like vulnerability. But these are also the qualities that it requires in order to have that evolution. And we're all clearly on this path of evolution. So if we can't be vulnerable in our relationships, vulnerable in ourselves, if we can't take those risks, then the alternative to that is that things will simply stay the same. And the fixed signs oftentimes like things to stay the same, even if they're not comfortable. However, this month, we're going to get an idea of where that comes from within us. What is holding us back? What's keeping us from making these changes? What are those old habits or those old storylines we told ourselves? What's the fear? Really, the Scorpio season is, what is the fear? And if you're doing or operating out of a place of fear, you can kind of expect to be cracked wide open in this area. You know, if we want or need certain things or people to behave a certain way or to stay the same and not allow these things to change and grow, then that's where we hold ourselves back as well. And this is a moment of breakthrough for that, as we have a new moon in Scorpio making an opposition to Uranus in the beginning of the month. This happens on the 4th, and this is a really big energy for these huge breakthroughs. A lot of us are going to figure out why we do the things we do and that we don't want to do them anymore. Now, even in terms of like our diet and our food, and what are we ingesting energetically is a super big part of the storyline this month. Now, I know I just said that we have to pay attention because Scorpio season is going to demand our attention to get to the bottom of these stories. Who do we believe? What do we believe? How's it going to affect us? How do we want to change? Of course. But there's also this energy of allowing the transformation to occur. Remember, there's things we have to let go of. So we have to take a good look at ourselves, psychologically, how we do things, how we hold on to things. And we also have to reassess, where would we be? Would we be better off if we let some of these things go? Some of us, this is like cleaning out the closets, cleaning out the basement kind of stuff. Some of us, this is reassessing our finances. You know, there's this emphasis on that freedom, which means that we're going to want to shed some stuff so we could be freer. Sometimes fate has a way of taking care of this for you. You know, oftentimes I see in these transits, you know, you want to travel, you want to go all these different places, but you have like an elder pet at home. And these transits can come in and kind of end that storyline, not because you wanted it to end, of course, but because the universe says it's time. It's time for this phase to be over and this adventure to begin. It's not always easy. And oftentimes Scorpio energy can be painful, but it's about confronting and feeling the pain and then moving through it. It's about allowing things to end so we can create the new story. A lot of us collectively are having these stories play out in our careers and in our finances, for sure. This is going to be an overwhelming theme, especially as Venus starts to move into Capricorn. This is not a comfort level for Venus at all. Venus in Capricorn means that we've got to kind of hold back a little bit. We've got to, again, like I explained with the animals, what are they doing? They're making sure they have enough food for the long winter. And we have to pull back and make sure that we have enough resources to get us through the harder times. Some of us need our resources to be a form of faith. Some of us, it's actually quite literally financially. Some of us, it's support from other people. There's needs there's wants, and there's something in between here. And it's those necessary tools that we need to recreate this next transition phase. Guys, 2022, Jupiter moving into Pisces. It's a 6-year. This is a very spiritual time for everybody on the planet. And oftentimes that means that because we have to renew our faith, there might be external circumstances that are making you really lean on it at this time. Some of us are facing losing our jobs or our careers. Some of us are facing having to take our children out of school. These are all very real considerations that are going on for people at this time. And as you could see, that all of those options can create an energetic field within us of fear. We got to look that fear right in the face and say, well, what's the worst case scenario and how do I prepare for it? What can I do to strengthen my resolve and my faith when things aren't really going my way? And what do these things mean? What do these roadblocks mean? How do we change these things? The universe wants you to change. Eclipse season is when these things become necessary. It's when the universe sweeps in and makes the changes anyways. So it's a good time to confront your fears. It's a great time to get to the bottom of the hows and whys and the whats. It's a good time to look at what you see for the future and what are the changes you can make right now in order to move toward that path. If anybody is suffering depression, and again, there's so much Saturnian energy for the past year or so, really the past several years, that we could feel this culmination and we could say to ourselves, man, I just don't feel good. I feel achy. I feel tired all the time. I don't feel optimistic. Of course, we're embodying this energy, and we're also embodying the energy of those that we're surrounded with by the news that we're watching, by, just all the craziness that's happening. Maybe it's a good time for some of us to address that, maybe by seeking therapy in some way, seeking some kind of healing dualities. It's a great time for that. It's a great time to dig into our dream interpretations. And it's also, like I said, a great time to look financially deeper into these things. And what do we need? Is there things that we could sell or get rid of in order to free up more financial money, to free up our time? Maybe there's sacrifices we can make so we don't have to work a full-time job, so that we can give more time to our creative projects, which are going to become so important in the next few months as that node moves to the very anaretic degrees of Gemini and Sag. And we have this full moon eclipse coming up in Taurus, and I just want to remind everybody that Taurus does rule the throat chakra, and it is in the second and third decans of this Taurus energy that we're dealing with between the eclipse and where Uranus is located. Now, the second decan of Taurus is Virgo. So again, mundane astrology, the things that are taking place now is quite literally changes for the way that we serve others. So you're looking at these changes with the police. You're looking at these mandates affecting, the medical service-oriented things, pilots, these are all people that, and even the military is ruled by Virgo. So you're looking at people, massive amounts of the collective that are going through these changes and having to confront these fears of whether, if I don't want to get a vaccine, is this worth losing my job or losing my career, or all these years of college and the investments that I put into them? These are not easy decisions. And that's where we can kind of trust these eclipses to come through and change our momentum towards our destiny. And so Venus in Sag, Mercury is going to be moving through Sag. Eventually the sun is going to catch up and move through Sag at the end of the month, closer to this transit. And Taurus also rules the throat chakra. And there's a need for expressing our self-worth here. What are our priorities? What are our values? We're going to begin to associate strongly with some very literal hopes and values that we have. What do we want that new life to look like? What do we want these new structures that we're creating to look like? And it has to be more authentic and of ourselves. Jupiter is going to demand this at the end of Aquarius. There's no more masking things. Quite literally, there's no more masking what we want and what we desire. It's just simply this energy is too big within us for it to be ignored. So it's a really beautiful time for us to assess what really matters to us. Take ownership of the things that we truly want and desire, and to let go of the rest. Now, this month is a lot about compromise. We're going to have to find the compromise. If you are in any kind of a Scorpio energy in which you can't accept a loss in some way, because Mars is going to move into that area in Scorpio, it's going to trigger our egos a lot. And again, I'm going back to those two different forms of that Scorpio energy. If we don't get our way, we could be very vindictive. We can become very manipulative. We're going to feel this need to control situations. This comes from a deep-seated, deep-rooted need to be in control so that we don't have to confront the unknown. The other side of Scorpio is if you let go, oftentimes the things we fear, we're never really worthy of it to begin with. So we have to allow these transformations to take place. We have to allow the dying off in order for the new growth to emerge later. That's ultimately the theme this month, guys. It's a heavy, intense month, but it's a great pause, and it's a great time to assess where we are, what we want, and how to move towards that in a better way. So in a lot of ways, you can make so much of a leap forward this month by confronting all of that inner stuff that blocks us. All right, guys, I do hope you have an amazing November. I hope you enjoy your November readings, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Take care. Bye. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for November. What a beautiful month for you guys. The Scorpio energy is just so good. 5th house making a trine. These energies are free-flowing and beautiful, and this can really be a beautiful time of year for you. Now, that being said, you are coming across this month as the King of Pentacles. And there's a couple things that I picked up off this card. One was your security, your relationship with security, right? King of Pentacles is Taurus, kind of Capricorn energy for me. And it's about being safe, about not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, right? Like King of Pentacles isn't somebody that just goes out and invests all their money on a whim in something. They tend to play it safe. But I was really drawn here to this 3 of Pentacles vibe. And 3 of Pentacles is one of my absolute favorite cards in the deck. I know that's probably weird. It's not one of the more exciting ones, but it's kind of the idea of the collaboration. When I see a King of Pentacles come up, I'm often drawn to the idea of where are we stuck? Where do we keep ourselves stuck? And oftentimes, Cancer, because we don't like to be vulnerable, we tend to try to control the outcome and the opportunities in front of us, right? And when we tend to control it, or we assume it's going to go a certain way, or it's going to be a certain thing, then we may be missing out on the real magic that lays within it. The King of Pentacles is also super independent, and the 3 of Pentacles represents kind of that idea of no man is an island, right? It takes relationships, it takes collaboration, it takes friendships to make all of this even worth it. And it's really, none of it is worth anything if we can't share it with others. And your environment this month is that of the High Priestess. And when she comes out, it is a promise of clarity being gained. And I like that for you because in your fear position, we have the Moon card, which is your card, but it also depicts a little bit of fear and worry. Now, this reading is extremely romantic. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Sun card, and the Knight of Cups right here in the middle. We've got the Lovers on the bottom of the deck. And there's something, even if it isn't like love related, there's something about loving life that comes to me in this reading. And because we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun card here, and because your environment is that of the High Priestess, I think for a lot of Cancers, it's becoming very, very clear what does bring them happiness. There's a sense of our worlds changing, our environments changing. The Wheel of Fortune is a slow process, okay? And by the small changes that we make, by the evolution of our soul through our experiences, we start to become, it's kind of like alchemy. And we see this a lot in life. I see it in myself. Like the older I get, certain things just don't matter the way that they used to. And so with the Wheel of Fortune, it's like the shedding of the things that don't matter so that you can invest more in the things that make you truly thrive, in the things that make you truly happy. And those are the things that make you feel authentic to yourself. See, the whole Capricorn Cancer axis of the nodes back in 2019, 2018 was like this horrendous experience of like all of the places that were not happy. Slowly but surely over the years, we started to shed some of these old stories and step into a new storyline that fit us more authentically to who we are now. And the fact that we have the Knight of Cups here in the center of the reading tells me that you are in a very good position to start to invest emotionally into something that makes you very, very happy. This could be a relationship. This could be a new career, a new hobby, a new friendship, like whatever this is to you. I think that you sense that there's one or two components in life right now that are really truly adding to the value of it. And when I see a Knight of Cups, oftentimes I see one is a declaration of love, right? And it doesn't have to be in the romantic sense, although for some of you, really, truly, it is. But it could just be this understanding that I am doing something that I truly love and enjoy, and I'm in my element, and this is kind of what life is all about. And I look here at this card number 11, which is a very magical number, and it's called the Council. And I actually want to read this to you because I think some of these things are kind of profound here. The Council are the luminous beings who hold the collective wisdom of humanity. They are the ones before whom you will do your life review when you cross into the world of spirit. A life review is when we place our good and our bad deeds on a divine scale and attempt to explain why we did not love or forgive or dare as greatly as we might have. Know that their wisdom is available to you at all times when you live in a state of yes, in an unconditional relationship with life. They remind you of your place around a sacred fire, which has been reserved for you since the beginning of time. You will claim it when you own your inner wisdom. I think that this is a universe inviting you to own your inner wisdom, because we have no choice but to look at how far we've come, how different everything feels. If there were times when we were in a state of dissatisfaction, and by the way, you're my 5th reading so far and the only person that hasn't pulled a 4 of Cups. So again, another tribute to the true happiness that you're in at this time. And this is so rare for us because this is like a reminder that, you know, we had to go through those things. We had to recognize all of the ways in which we weren't happy so that we can correct them. And as we started to correct them, Wheel of Fortune, we started to become more aligned with the things that were truly meant for us. And this is also a point of attraction. When the sun comes out, you are attracting like-minded people and relationships and scenarios to you. All of a sudden, you begin to understand your power of manifestation. And all of a sudden, you're like, man, I just love the way it feels when I'm, you know, in this place or with this person. You have like this mindset of what makes you happy, and then you attract it to you. And the Knight of Cups reminds me of this immense gratitude that we have for life when we're here, when we're in this place. And the Knight of Cups doesn't stop and say, but do I deserve this? Is this really true? Is it, you know, no, it's just day to day, in the moment, this feels right. This feels good. And the more gratitude that you have, the more things to be grateful for emerge. But we do have underneath this Knight of Cups, card number 12, breaking down to a 3, 3 of Pentacles here, the air element of communicating. And for some of my Cancers, for all of my Cancers really, there are other things, other people, places, and things that are contributing to this happiness. Now, you attracted those things to you. They're very much meant for you in this moment, in this time. There's a need to communicate. There's a need to talk and make plans and figure out what's next. And this doesn't have to be like dreaded conversations you're avoiding. I don't feel like that at all. When you are in a yes state to life, conversations just happen. This could be as simple as sitting around a bonfire with a bunch of friends and somebody says something and you're like, oh my God, I never thought of that. That is what I want to do next. Life is going to keep you in this steady, constant flow of inspiration as long as you are receiving of it and grateful for it. And so the conversations are important, and the gratitude for the conversations are important. The inspiration is so important. And you wouldn't be receiving that inspiration had you not gone through those things, had you not experienced that contrast, and had you not made a promise to self to get yourself in a better place. The thing that I love about a King of Pentacles is that he's kind of unscathed by everything else. Because he's so safe, because he planned, because he did all the right things in the past. Now we have this, and then we have this card of the past, and we're in Scorpio season, which kind of represents the past. And this is like karma being returned to you because you made the right decisions, you made the right calls, because you did the hard work. And therefore, there might be a time in our world where a lot of things are falling apart for a lot of people, and people are like really heavy and burdened and fearful. But I don't pick any of that up for you, Cancer, because you kind of did the inner work, and therefore you're somewhat untouchable in those elements. And for those of us, especially the cardinal signs who started to make these changes first, this is a time where we get to reap the benefits. Whereas more of our fixed signs are just starting to agree to make the changes. So don't underestimate the level of inspiration that you contribute as well, because there is a lot of receptivity here. I see receptivity with the moon. I see it with the Lovers card. I see a lot of receptivity as far as the things that you bring, the inspiration you bring to others, the good vibrations, the happiness, the love, the gentleness, the kindness. It all gets returned tenfold. And yet there's still like this little thing that lingers, which is the moon card here in this position. And underneath that, we have a lost compass, getting back to integrity and letting go. This is an 8. This is an 8. Scorpio rules the 8th house. There's an infinity which comes with the 8, and there's also a vibration of energy that comes with the number 8 that is constant and eternal. And no matter how much work we do, no matter how much we contribute to society or how good we are or how untouchable we are, there will always be these moments of the unknown. Great, things are happy right now. You feel great, you're in your element and you're grateful, but the truth is you have no idea where this is going next. Because you're in the moment where you're meant to be, where the magic happens. You might find yourself, 2 of Pentacles, kind of going back and forth between the, is this right for me or isn't this? Man, there's no guarantees here. This is just a crazy idea that feels great. There's not going to be a lot of solid ground, but you don't require the solid ground. This is an air element. This is all about the ideas. It's not about bringing it to earth. It's not about creating. It's just about experiencing. It will become about creating later. But first you have to let go of the expectations and you have to let go of the fear. It's not a time to play it safe. It's not a time to focus on any kind of scarcity. For some of the signs it is. Like I just reported in my first half of the reading, like it's a good time to make sure that you have everything you need to prepare for a winter. Cancer, I'm here to tell you this isn't going to feel like a winter for you. You have surrounded yourself and patted yourself and protected yourself with so much satisfaction. That disappointment is simply an illusion. Any sense of disappointment or fear brewing within you. Sometimes we get afraid of that happiness. Sometimes we're like, yeah, but how long can this last? How long can we do this for? Well, infinitely. Because it was society and other people and weird circumstances that taught us to not live in the moment, taught us to settle and to cling for things, to not go after our dreams unless there's a certain realistic element to it of achieving something or being safe or, you know. And those were our old stories. We can't be afraid of this new story. It is, however, easy to slip in and out of that matrix, right? It's easy, especially if we're paying attention to what other people are going through or watching the news and we're like, holy shit, things are kind of really bad right now. And you might give that a little power from time to time. You might let it, and that's okay because the element is the High Priestess and you are a compassionate human being. And it's okay to allow yourself to feel other people's pain and strife. You shouldn't be afraid of it. Like that's the empathic, magical side of Cancer. But the fact is you can even turn that into pure magic and destiny. And you might be inspiring people who are looking at their life and saying, yeah, but I just really don't like it this way. And then they look at you and they're like, well, what was your secret? And the fact that you achieved it means that now it's your responsibility to let other people know that it is achievable. That anyone can accomplish this. Anyone can be there at any point in their life. Lost compass, getting back to integrity. Your integrity lies in the happiness. It lies in this happy state. And if you find yourself vacillating between, yeah, but I got to come back down to earth, or yeah, this probably isn't what I think it is. Like if this is a relationship and everything feels so beautiful in the moment, and then you start to let those thoughts creep in and you're like, yeah, but they're probably not that great, right? Probably can't be this good. Then you pull yourself out of your integrity. You start to second guess yourself, and you start to second guess these beautiful gifts that the universe has bestowed upon you. And really and truly, who are we to question the universe anyways? Hi, Priestess. But this also represents an uncovering. The fears are the things that we have to let go. So if there's Cancers that are afraid to say the way that they feel, if they're afraid to express gratitude, if they're afraid to forgive and move on or let these things go, you're going to be guided towards it anyways. Death Valley. I am resilient. There is hope. There can be success through hardship. See, this is what I mean about the inspiring others. And the no man is an island idea. You achieve this, therefore you are living proof that this is possible. And it is now your duty to share this with the world, to have these conversations, to inspire people, which means you have to express yourself. I don't know, for maybe some Cancers, there's like a book within you somewhere. There's words that need to be expressed or said. And if you feel like you're being pulled in a certain direction that's pulling you out of your happiness, then there's this getting back to integrity. And the thing about it is I don't see any Cancers falling like victim to overburdened, overcommitted clinginess. I don't see that here. I don't see you allowing yourself to fall back into any of these old habits. And that's what I like about the letting go and getting back to integrity. See, there's a realization that any of those things in your life that created those scenarios, there's a fear they might come back in some way. There's like this fear that we're going to recreate those old scenarios. Because when we're happy and we're not paying attention, we're not focusing on like the day-to-day mundane tasks, there's a sense of what we're not paying attention to can kind of unravel us. And this is kind of the universe saying to you, this can't be undone. This state is infinite for you. You may oscillate from time to time, but this state is infinite for you. And you know that even if hardships do come, they're just an invitation to change your frequency and re-find your happiness, which is such a great feeling anyways, right? To be lost and then to find your way. Like, it's such a beautiful message. Sometimes the being lost is really what we needed in the first place. Bottom of the card, the Lover's card representing choices. And I think it's urging you to choose your happy. Choose that fantasy world. Choose that happiness and gratitude, and don't let go of it. Don't allow anyone or anything to pull you back into unnecessary, burdensome realities, because those are self-created as well, and you have the choice. Do you stay in the negative or do you stay in the positive? My Cancers will always, always, always choose positive from this point forward. Sometimes that communication also means boundaries. It also means that anyone that's trying to take me out of this element is just simply going to meet up against a brick wall. And this is the way that I choose to live life. And it's a beautiful thing. It's like a Cancer that has clearly, truly found the secret to a happy life. Really beautiful reading, Cancer. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful November, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.